As a college that commenced operating in 1897, you can well imagine there's been many traditions which we've built upon to arrive at today. One of those traditions is our pipe band. In 1947, the new headmaster, Dr. Maxwell Keys, arrived at Scotch and was quite surprised to find that there was no pipe band in existence. This was in counter to his experience in New Zealand Christchurch, where St Andrews had a flourishing pipe band. As such, he decided to commence a band. In fact, this is recorded in our college history of building the tradition. The school, which I was very interested in Christchurch, St Andrews College, had a wonderful pipe band. I was amazed to find that Scotch didn't have a pipe band, so in my very first year, I set about raising funds for this, and in the second year, had it operating. It wasn't until 1949, however, that the 12 volunteer boys who offered to be part of that band actually had a full uniform in which to perform. I'm sure the boys, nor Dr. Maxwell Keys, would have thought that it would lead to, in 2015, our college being part of one of the world's most major functions, the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. On February the 20th, I had a visit from David Alfrey, MBE, who's the Chief Executive Officer and Executive Producer of the tattoo, and Ralph McPherson. And they asked me probably what is one of the most rhetorical questions I've had in my life. Would we like to be part of the tattoo? They had some extra follow-ups to do and a bit of referee checking, but on February the 25th, we received a letter with excitement that invited us to be part of that tattoo. And the rest is history. What you're about to witness is that journey to the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. It's a wonderful record of history. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It really is a great record for the boys, for the parents, and for our college for many, many years to come.
Since I've joined the pipe band, you look on YouTube for all these things, and Edinburgh Tattoo is the biggest of its kind in the world, and it's something I didn't think Scotch would ever get invited to, let alone I'd get to play at.
It was pretty important because I know it was a prestigious thing to do, and it was it's never been done before, going to one of the biggest events in the world for Scotch. So it was important to try and make a good impression.
It's the first thing I've done that really actually meant anything. I've never really done anything like this before, so it's just something new.
I'd never actually heard of the Edinburgh Tattoo before I started playing pipes.
I didn't know much about it. I didn't know like its heritage or anything.
Well, it was something that the whole family, we used to watch on New Year's.
I remember watching it over the years with my grandma on TV because they always record it. So I go over there every year and watch it, and it was quite a pleasant surprise when I found out that we'd been invited, that I'd have the chance to go over.
It's massive, it's just massive. A lot of people have the idea that the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo is on TV for one night, and one night only. And a lot of people have the idea that it's one show. A lot of people don't realise that the show goes for the entire month of August.
It was always important for me, having been through the school myself and pipe major of the band. I think the pipe band itself is a journey, so I was always from the start, I wanted the boys to have a sort of like an independent experience and sort of manage their own expectations, obviously oversee everything, but yeah, I wanted it to be their experience. Certainly feel that they owned their performance and that they were at a standard that was a world standard, and that they could be proud of the experience and the accomplishments.
I kind of actually forgot that the auditions were on the first week back.
The warm-up before in the drum room, when we practiced before we actually came into the audition, really, I was definitely very, very worried and scared, and then the no reaction from the teachers definitely didn't help afterwards as well.
There was a lot riding on it. If we did it terribly, then we could miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I think definitely everyone would say they could do more practice.
During that week, I did do a lot of practice. Pretty much straight from coming back from school, I'd get straight into my pipes and practice, work out all the kinks.
My last lesson with Mr. Bailey was before the holidays, and I also went to New Zealand during the holidays, so I had to bring my pipes with me, and I practiced quite a bit, much to my family's despair and unhappiness, but I think they got over it.
What I tried to do was, it's probably a bit silly, I practiced in my winter uniform just to sort of get used to the conditions, but of course it's quite different when you're standing there in front of 3 men looking at you, judging you.
When we actually got to the airport as such, and in that experience, it was a very ecstatic. Every boy was just excited to get there and start. And even though it was 11 o'clock at night, at the midnight flight out to Doha, everybody was excited and ready to get on with the task because we'd been very well prepared by the school. It was quite different going from western suburbs and Perth, and how Perth's very set out to this old rustic feel kind of place which Edinburgh is, and just going through some of the main streets and just seeing some of the architecture was so much different to what we see in Perth. The people, they were at first quite difficult to understand. There were a few different aspects which were a bit hard to grasp, like the food. Once you got used to it, it was really quite enjoyable. I had some haggis and some blood pudding, which I didn't like at all, but it's generally pretty different to what you get in Australia, so it was cool to try new things though.
Yeah, very talkative people. They loved having a chat and loved being accommodating to everyone.
We arrived in Scotland, and the boys again were well prepared. In fact, before we left, we had mentioned to the boys that the first band practice started at 7 o'clock in the morning and wouldn't finish until around about 11 o'clock. And the comment from one boy was that in the morning, sir?
My thoughts going into the rehearsal, again we got told it would be quite extensive and thorough, very long hours. So I guess I thought I was prepared, but actually doing it's another thing.
Well, the rehearsals at Rexford Barracks were pretty intense for all of the different bands, I suppose, but since we had a lot of prior preparation before, it was actually quite relaxed and I suppose chilled for the Scotch boys.
During the first week we were practicing for the entire pretty much 4 days straight, up early, back in the evening late, because the bands only had 3 or 4 days of actually playing together before we performed for the first time, so it was a real push to get all the marching and the playing and everything in sync and working well together.
One of my favourite days was probably the first night, because your emotions were running high, and then you walk through the drawbridge and you don't really know what to expect, and then you hear the roar of the packed crowd, and it was just amazing.
Oh, it was one of the best moments of my life, I think, if not the best.
I remember just a smile coming to my face. It's just a really, really overwhelming feeling of having all those people looking at you and, you know, cameras going off.
Yeah, when I first walked out, it was nothing I've ever experienced, and it's sort of, I kept getting that feeling every night I walked out. It's just a new experience every time.
Muscle memory came into practice from all the rehearsals, so you just try to block out all the people and just look straight ahead and concentrate what you're part of.
sound seemed to drown out all my worries, and I walked out and I could see all the crowd and everything, and it was special in the sense that I felt not insignificant, but I felt like a part of such a big process and a big group of people doing the same thing, and I thought that was the best bit about it.
I was very proud to be leading 23 boys of who I could call my mates in front of almost 8,000 people. The first time we did it was actually a dress rehearsal, and that was the first time that I experienced it, and I just got shivers down my spine for the entire time. But afterwards you still get accustomed to it and you keep getting more relaxed with the process. By the end of it, I could do it very comfortably, but it was more so proud that my school was able to get me to this place, and I was able to represent my school in the manner to maximum ability.
I had family in Scotland, and they were able to watch me, and I have family here who follow the pipes, and they were able to watch me, and it was great to represent my family as well, and it was a really nice experience for me.
Yeah, it was great. When they arrived, I was so happy. It was real fun. I wanted to show them the city and what I'd discovered so far, and having them watch the show and catching up with them between performances and stuff, it was real fun.
I was mainly happy for those boys. I sort of fed off their enthusiasm, went along and talked to their parents for a bit. What the parents did quite well is that they made me feel included, even though my parents weren't there, if you know what I mean.
It was one of the longest stints I've had without my parents around, so washing my own clothes, making sure I don't sleep in for way too long and not doing any study.
There is one day that I can remember. We were at the top of the castle waiting, we're just tuning up, getting ready. We're in our usual spot just outside the governor's residence, and we circled up and we started playing, and there was something about when we all started playing together that was just, it was undescribable. I remember looking across the circle to our pipe sergeant, David Graham, and we just shared a look with each other of just utter amazement, because the music that was being produced was just of such a high quality. And what really makes that stay in my mind is Major Stephen Small, the director of Army Bagpipe Music, came over to us and he just popped into the circle just for a brief second, and he only uttered a few words, and that was lovely. And with that he was gone. And that's what really sticks in my mind, is to get such praise from one of the key figures in bagpiping.
I'm one of the youngest people who went, so I didn't really know that many people in the band before we left, but by the end of it I'd pretty much become friends with everyone in the band, and we have this bond that we'll never be able to break or anything, so it was really interesting and different how we got to know everyone differently and meet up with them, and it just changed our friendships with everyone in the group.
Of course, when you put a bunch of boys together for a month, you'd expect a lot of bonding to occur, and I felt that I did bond a lot more with some of the younger kids in the band that I never thought I would.
Mama, just killed a man, put a gun against his head, pull the trigger, now he's dead. Mama, died for just
Coming from our holding area to the actual tattoo, you'd see hundreds of people lining up, even rain and sunshine, waving at you, smiling at you, and you just look back and you go, wow, all these people have come see me.
We'd get off the buses in our dress and everything with our instruments, and all these people would be trying to talk to us, trying taking photos with us and stuff, and it was kind of weird, switching, because it was kind of like you're a celebrity for a month, except not at daytime. It was cool though, it was interesting.
Being a celebrity over there, it might be a bit of an overstatement, but it definitely felt pretty cool. I know that when we were walking down the mile back to our holding room, there would be hundreds and hundreds of people on the outside of the fence waiting for all the pipers and drummers to come down. I would have no issue stopping for a photo. I got pretty used to it, and waving to people and having them point at me and say, oh, what's that thing he's got on his head? It looks like a big animal.
march through the city, and the Highland Games are really interesting. I mean, I've never been to something like that before, and it was cool to see all the logs being tossed.
The best part of it was probably all the boys lining up, getting on this ride, just a showground ride, and just seeing all these boys in kilts and spats, all perfect uniforms on this ride. It was a real funny moment.
Initially, when I was told about it, I was like, oh, a day on a bus. I'm not really looking forward to that, but it was amazing. Like when we got on there, and a lot of kids brought pillows, but I didn't bring a pillow, and I didn't need a pillow because I wasn't sleeping the whole time. I was watching all the scenery, and it was amazing.
The whole landscape is just grand and epic, and it's just incomprehensible.
On the last night, it was a bit sad going out for the last time, but it was good knowing that we'd done something that probably none of us will ever do again.
Yeah, I think there's no question that we're sort of held in high regard now. We've demonstrated an ability, or exceeded an ability in terms of tattoos, and we've got an invite to Nova Scotia in 2017, one back to Edinburgh in 2018. And Basel Tattoo, which is in Switzerland in 2019. So I think that sort of clearly demonstrates, how we were viewed as a group, how we went about our business, and more importantly, the effect that has on the college and the standing of the college, and how parents and the public perceive the school and in terms of excellence and what we strive for and what we aim for.
Band is like a really big thing around the world, and that I want to continue with it like further in my life.
The most I got out of the tour was probably the physical and emotional demand you have to put into it. Going to bed every night at 12 and then waking up at 8.
I think we all learnt independence, and I think I become not only a better drummer, but just more experienced in my life.
What we were doing was making history. It wasn't just going on another event or going on another tour that the band goes on. It was the first at the heart of what we are as a pipe band.